Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Happy Healthy Women podcast and HHW TV. I am your host, Natalie Colalilo, founder and CEO of Happy Healthy Women, and I, as always, am so excited for our guest today. We have the amazing Meg Pearson, who is going to be joining us for this episode. Meg is, so first off, she's a trailblazer with us in Happy Healthy Women, which means she is a leader. She shows up in her knowledge and expertise and really is such a bright light for women in business, women founders, wellness-minded women who are looking to grow and scale. And, she's got quite a history, which, we go into deeply in this podcast, because I think it's really important for people to understand that we all have stories that did not begin where we are today. And one of the things about Meg's story is that she has such a breadth of knowledge and experience, and in big worlds, in television and in media, multimedia, and all of this has led her to where she is today, which is as a speaker, a breathwork facilitator. She is the founder of Rebel Soul Media, and she has over 25 years of experience spanning media, wellness, entrepreneurship, branding, web design, and so on. She is so purpose-driven. She is so aligned, and she is really all about authenticity, being truthful to who we are, really unapologetically sitting in our truth and embodied leadership. And she does this through a variety of ways. And so today we're really going to dig into the importance of this, what it means for our brand, having a living, breathing brand, because it's exactly what it is, and really being able to nourish that and to bring it forth as we scale, as we grow, as we create beautiful, magnetic abundance. So enjoy this episode, and we'll see you soon. All right, welcome to the Happy Healthy Women podcast and HHW TV with the amazing Meg Pearson. I'm so excited to have this beautiful woman here. I was just telling Meg that her energy, we don't get to see each other too much in person. We live, 2 hours away from each other, Meg?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. But we've actually seen each other in person quite a bit, and or maybe just once. But it feels like I know you more than I do. But I just said to Meg, your energy comes through whether you are on Zoom, filming, doing our podcast, recording. You just exude the best energy. And if you're not watching this, if you're listening to this, Meg is wearing the most beautiful bright yellow dress that is just lighting me up today. So, hello, my friend. Welcome.
Hello. I'm so glad you love my vintage dress I bought in Portugal last summer that I said, I don't know where I'm going to wear it. It was for this. I was saving it for this.
It was for this. Yes. I want to start off with you telling us a little bit about your story, Meg, because, this isn't just your regular kind of climb to entrepreneurship. You've had quite the career and quite the story, and you're always up to big things. So tell us a little bit about how you arrived here with what you do. I know it's a loaded question, but
I'm going to focus on my career and professional story, because if I try to weave in all of the personal anecdotes and mountains that have been climbed and rock bottoms that have been hit, we'll be here for 2 hours at least.
Yes.
So I'm a small town Ontario girl, and my dream as a teenager, it wasn't a big dream. My dream was to move to Toronto at some point and ride the subway to work. That was my dream. I lived in a small town, rode a school bus, the whole 9 yards, surrounded by farmers. And my parents were both teachers. My sisters were both going off to school to be teachers. They were older than I. And I was the black sheep, to say the least, in my family. And so I decided I wanted to do the furthest thing I could think of that was the opposite of everyone else in my family. So I decided I like watching TV. Maybe I could get a job working in TV. So when college came along, I decided to apply for a television broadcasting diploma course. And I moved 4 hours from home to Belleville, Ontario, where I did what I signed up for was a 3-year television broadcasting diploma course. But after 2 years, I was winning awards for top academic achievement and directing and producing a lot of different things for school. And I ended up at an internship at Global Television in Toronto
Wow.
because which is really funny because I was super procrastinating applying for my internships. It was last minute. I think it was like 2 weeks before our internships were supposed to start in April of like 2001. And I went to one of my teachers and I was like, I don't have an internship yet. And she was like, let me call in a favor. And she called Global. She knew someone there and they got me in. So I interned in the camera department there at age 20. I think I was 20 when I started. And so it was me and all of these middle-aged men in the camera department. And Cheryl Hickey was the videographer, the one sole female videographer. And I went up in the helicopter on my very first day. So I was stoked about this career in TV. And I ended up climbing the ranks pretty quick. By the time I was 24, 25, I was directing City TV's 6 o'clock news, which, if you know anything about the television media industry, the 6 p.m. newscast is like the flagship program. So that's where everyone at the top of the crop work on those shows. And so I was doing that. Bounced around a lot over about 11 years working in television in Toronto, worked for all the major networks, Global, CTV, City TV, the CBC, several smaller networks as well. And all the while everything looked really beautiful on the outside, I was fighting a lot of personal battles. I had started drinking as a teenager heavily. By the time I was in my 20s, it was full functional alcoholism, which was kind of accepted in the industry I was working.
Yeah.
And I was also suffering with a lot of issues around my body image, and I had an eating disorder, a full-blown eating disorder. And so while everything looked really perfect on the outside, on the inside, I was having it was a really hard time to make sense of the external world that I was living and what was happening on the inside. I had no relationships in my 20s. I was very disconnected from my family. I had no friends, no love life, just my career and my 2 addictions. And it was around 29 that the universe gave me a lot of good reasons to question life. That included a personal bankruptcy, my father being diagnosed with 2 pretty serious illnesses, a pretty messy breakup with a fiance. I met a man, an older man, really quickly, got engaged really quickly, and that fell apart really quickly. And after my father's death in 2011, I really started to question things. So I went to Cuba for a long weekend, as many of us Canadians did back then, got really drunk, and looking back, I would be at the beach in the morning, looking out into the ocean. And now I look back and I'm like, oh, I was praying because I would ask the ocean what should I do? What should I do
Mm.
next? Because my dad's death and his visitation and the amount of people that showed up there to talk about the impact that he made on their lives made me really realize that I wasn't really doing anything like that. But my soul was made for impact. So I decided I wanted to leave my career in TV. And I asked the ocean, what should I do? And she told me to do what I love. And I didn't know what I loved. But then she told me raw food and yoga. So what did I do? I got home from Cuba. I went in and I quit my job. I was working as an associate producer on a reality show at the time. And I quit. And within 2 weeks, signed up for my first yoga teacher training. Within a few weeks after that, one of the local chefs from the St. Lawrence Market in downtown Toronto, she owned Cruda Cafe, which I don't think exists anymore, hasn't existed for a long time. But she took me under her wing and she taught me everything she knew. I did business courses with her. And by 2012, with less than a year after my dad's death, I was teaching raw vegan culinary classes out of church basements and teaching yoga classes in downtown Toronto. I began managing a holistic health clinic. So I was learning from naturopathic doctors, chiropractors, massage therapists, and all of that. And it was during that time that I went on a vacation to Costa Rica. It was my second time ever being there. And the place that I was staying at was owned by a young Canadian couple. And we hit it off. And they had just kind of taken over the resort from the woman's mother. And I said, hey, everything seems to be working out really great here for you guys. They're like, yeah, we're just missing one piece. We're missing someone that can teach raw vegan culinary classes and yoga retreats. And I was like, shut the front door. And the first time I went to Costa Rica in 2009, I moved houses, condos 13 times in 11 years living in Toronto. Every time I moved, I was like, this isn't it. This isn't it. This isn't home. This isn't home. When I first set foot in Costa Rica in 2009, my whole body told me this is home. So I always
Yes.
knew that I wanted to be back there. And in 2013, when that couple said they needed someone like me, I dropped everything. So I went back to Canada, sold everything over the summer of 2013, and I moved to Central America in 2013. That began a decade-long career in the wellness industry. Started as retreats, culinary classes and yoga retreats. Pretty soon, the food became the central point. So I started a catering company. Married a Costa Rican man. We bought a bakery together, divorced the Costa Rican man, and ended up taking an executive chef job at a pretty well-known plant medicine retreat center down there. And from there, I started to explore a lot of other deeper healing capacities and practices, such as, well, breathwork I actually got into before I met that place. We started at that place, but plant medicine, breathwork. I started facilitating workshops. I've taught classes to more than 18,000 people in person, facilitating transformational workshops, and did everything behind the scenes for that company. Used some of my television background, helped produce documentaries that were happening there, you name it. And then I moved back to Canada in 2023 because just as my TV career wasn't fitting my soul's alignment and what my soul wanted back in 2012 when I officially left TV, again, my career in the wellness industry, and particularly in that spiritual space, no longer felt aligned in 2023. So I left and I moved back to Canada, and I've been here in small town Ontario ever since. I spent about 2.5 years throwing spaghetti at the wall to figure out what I wanted to be when I grow up. I'm 45.
Yeah.
And last year I landed on this beautiful marriage of my background in television media, marketing, graphic design, and the entrepreneurial space, and it's particularly with wellness entrepreneurs and creatives. And I created Rebel Soul Media, which is my web design business, breathwork, and coaching consulting business, where I help coaches, healers, and crystal dealers create brands and embody brands that feel good, that are bold, and that can evolve with them. Because if there's anything I've learned is that your brand is not your logo. Your brand is your capacity to evolve without abandoning yourself.
Oh, I love this. And I love how you have brought, okay, first of all, your story is, and I know that's only like an abbreviated version of part of your life, but you are a woman that experiences life and you let that intuition lead. And what I'm hearing is that you let that intuition lead, and then, your masculine energy comes in and says, okay, Meg, this is how we're going to do it. This is where we're going to go. And the intuition, the feminine energy is like, Meg, raw food, yoga. And, the masculine energy is like, yep. All right. Book that flight, get there. Like, this is the balance that we are all meant to be in, right? And striving for. And so kudos to you. What a great story. And thank you for sharing that. And so, when you talk about like the brand, that your book that you are working on right now is called, is it A Brand That Breathes, or The Brand That Breathes? Is that
The
what we're
brand that breathes is the
Brand That
current,
Breathes?
it's the
Okay.
working title. Yes, yes.
Yes. And so tell us about that, because I love how you incorporate the breath work into business. I've never seen them be incorporated. I've always thought they're two separate things. This is my, well, I shouldn't say that. Wellness and business go hand in hand. That's what Happy Healthy Women's all about. But our wellness, like our breath work, is part of our wellness, and then we can show up better in the business. But you've combined them. So tell us about that.
Well, it's interesting because there was a short period of time when I created Rebel Soul Media last year in 2025 where I tried to compartmentalize and I tried to separate them. Because breathwork has been something I've been doing since 2017. Like, I certified as a facilitator, like, before it became as popular as it is today. Like, people in the breathwork space say to me, "Oh, you're OG in this world." And I took to it as a facilitator because it transformed my life, even before the plant medicine, before a lot of the work that I did. And when I started doing the web design and helping businesses and brands last year, I thought, okay, well, this is completely separate. I got to leave the wellness, spiritual stuff behind. But what I quickly started to recognize with my clients is we would make beautiful brands. We'd develop these lovely websites with all of their offers. And then I would say, okay, we've got all of this built out. How are you going to put it out there in the world? And then they would collapse. And then they would be, oh my gosh, you mean I have to put it out there? People are going to see it. My neighbor's going to see it. What are they going to think? And all of a sudden all of that mindset and blockages and the fear of visibility, all of that started to come up for my clients. So I ended up, without even thinking, not only coaching them, because I've been a coach also for the last decade, but I started dropping them in with the breath and dropping them in with guided visualizations and helping them embody the why. Like, why did you come to me to create this for you? Why did you want this website? Why did you want this brand? Okay, well, let's tap into that again. And from there, you can reconnect to your vision, reconnect to your mission so that we can start to put it out there in the world from this beautiful place of knowing that this is your soul's work. This is the part of you that is meant to create impact. Because
Mm.
breathwork, it's one of the most powerful tools I have found for helping people and business owners hear themselves again.
Mm.
Because there's physical and there's emotional benefits, but for me, I've always loved the spiritual benefit. And everyone that does breathwork for me eventually says when they get to the end of a breathwork session, that's where they get to hear their self again. They get to hear their
Right.
intuition. They have that, they walk away thinking anything is possible,
Mm.
right? Because you tapped into that creative line of energy that exists within you. I often guide people to connect to the earth when they're breathing and connect to the cosmos and remember that we exist as the channel between the two. So we have the ability to always connect to the earth and be super grounded here, but we also are connected to this infinite vastness of the cosmos and the universe where anything and everything is possible. And that simple remembering gives you a layer of confidence in your business that a lot of business owners out there aren't tapping into. And so, yeah, the breathwork has become really, really important. And I've been teaching breathwork as a business tool inside of a lot of business spaces and entrepreneurial spaces
Mm.
because the strongest brands and businesses out there, they're not static, right? They're living, they're breathing expressions of a person's, especially in the personal brand space, of the person's or a company's values, their voice, and the evolution of them.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
everything is always growing and evolving, right?
It's true. I've been really digging into our nervous systems lately and the impact that our nervous systems have on everything in our lives and like, this survival mode, this go go go, this like just this like I am, I'm on a hamster wheel is running so many people's lives. And what I've realized, this ties in so big time with breath work because when I have done breath work in the past, I have felt it in my cells. Like it's not just in my lungs, right? Or in my belly. It is in my cells. It gets in my cells. Thus, I know it's rewiring the nervous system, and we need to rewire that in order to move to a different place, in order to elevate in our businesses. How much do you do around that piece, Meg?
Well, that's something I've been talking about a lot lately. I can't remember who said it, but a while back I heard this quote that we manifest at the speed of safety,
Yeah.
meaning that we have to feel safe enough to receive, to
Mm.
know that we are worthy, safe enough to be seen as a business owner in order to manifest and create the life that we dream. And at the same time, yes, we have to create that safety. But the version of us that got us here where we are is not the version of us that's going to get us to the next level. So we need
Mm.
to continually, as entrepreneurs that are wishing to grow and scale, we need to continually do the work to feel safe to hold what we have and what we're creating while also working towards the edge of this next big expansion. Because
Hmm.
if we're only doing the work to stay where we are and hold what we have, then that version of us is not going to be able to move to the next version of us. So it's this little place of nuance where, as a breathwork facilitator in particular, and I love doing this as an embodiment leadership tool inside these spaces because it's, as a facilitator of breathwork, very trauma aware, working with plant medicine for a decade, you have to be. I don't force people beyond their edges in breath work, especially
Mm.
when they're new. It's like, it's a very titrated way that I work. I'm never saying you have to breathe this way, you have to breathe this fast. I'm very much like, this is what I'm offering. Try it. If it doesn't feel good, take a break. Like, this is how we're going to do this.
Hmm.
And then it's this figuring out where we get to the edge and then inviting the next level. Can we be where we're at? We're right there. We're pulsating. We're like, okay, I feel okay. Oh, this is feeling a little bit expansive. Oh, I'm at my edge. I'm feeling stretched. And then we allow ourselves to get to that next point when we go over what one of my teachers used to call the curve of chaos, right? Where in breathwork, you've probably been there where your whole body starts to panic and you think you're going to die and it's so overwhelming and there's so many emotions.
Totally.
And while I don't want to push anyone over that edge, if we breathe ourselves there, if we allow ourselves to get over, then all of a sudden that's the breakthrough. And that's where we're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that this existed and what's available
Yeah.
to be created here in this time and space.
Mm.
And that's infinite. Like we can bring ourselves energetically to infinite new levels. And we have to train our body to get there first. Because if we're just
Totally.
telling our mind, then our body's going to come up with a million reasons why it's not
Mhm.
safe.
Mhm.
So both the body and mind have to be on board. I believe 80% of the work's in the body, 20%'s in the mind. We have to be doing them both.
Yeah. And I love, the word safety. Like, I think all of us are walking around with like crazy definitions of what safe is. And what I mean by that is someone who is sitting in survival mode, their safety is this constant loop of like, as long and I just shared a little bit about this morning too, like, as long as I can survive, as long as I've got my bills paid, I am good, I am safe, and that's the safety that people are living in. So what does the universe bring? The universe brings, "Okay, bills are paid. Is there anything left?" No, because all you wanted or all you said that was gonna make you safe was bills paid, right? And so this is totally blocking us, and when we bring it back to the brands, which I want to hear from you on. Like, if we bring it back to the brand and our business, what is the energy? We are our brand. Our brand is us. You talk about the living brand. And so tell us more about how that is connected to us as humans and why it's not just like logos and colors and things like that, but why like who we are as people really matters to the brand and the energy that it exudes.
There's so much. There's so many reasons.
Yeah.
You know, reinvention is often looked at in the business world as inconsistency, right? And I remember at one point I changed my logos and my colors and all of that like every 5 months because I was just like,
Yeah.
I want to change it up. I want to change it
Yeah.
up as much as I change my wardrobe and my hair. If you look through my hair over the last 2 years, it's different every 3 months.
I love them all.
Thank you. And we've been taught in traditional business spaces that successful people pick one thing and stick with it forever. Uh-huh. But the most impactful leaders evolve. And I know I've gone from television director to wellness entrepreneur to breathwork facilitator to brand strategist to back to breathwork. And what I realized, I was at a women's conference about a month, maybe 2 months ago, and there was a brand strategist speaking to the group. And she said, how many of you in this group, it was like 100 women, how many of you guys feel like you have a solid brand?
Mm.
And I raised my hand, and not a single other person raised their hand. And it got me thinking. I was like, how do these women not feel like they have a great brand? I've seen her social media. I've seen hers. I know her energy. And what I
Mm.
realized is where I am now in my business and in my life and in my evolution as a woman is I've recognized that my brand was never the mishmash of colors and the logo and all of that. The brand was always just my essence. And I've changed my offers. I've changed the colors. I've changed the names of my company. I've changed my Instagram handle a million times, but the essence of me has always stayed the same. And the majority of my followers has stayed along with me because and bought random stuff. Like I have a client who's been with me since 2013. She came to a raw vegan culinary class in a basement of a church in Toronto. She's
Mm.
joined every single one of my breathwork programs. She's been on every single one of my retreats that I've done in the last few years. She comes to my in-person events. She's because of me, because she loves me as the brand. And that's what a brand is. The brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. The
Yeah.
brand is the feeling that people get when they see your content, when they feel your energy in a space. And this is the essence of the brand that breathes, is that we can trust ourselves enough to know that if what we thought was working and what made us successful 5 years ago is boring to us now, then it's going to be boring to all of our clients as well. So we need to be willing and understand and be able to hear what our intuition, what our soul, what the bigger, higher self version of us wants, what would light it up. Because if what we're doing lights us up, then that's going to be what lights up all of our current clients and our future clients. And that's what's going to help us sell and continue to grow and expand and scale our business.
Mm.
And to bring it all back to what we talked about with my story and how I made all these seemingly crazy pivots is sometimes when we're recreating our brand by just following the thread, the golden thread through all of it, which is us and our essence. Sometimes what we have to remember is the most successful people aren't the ones that necessarily make the right choice or follow the right path, but they're the ones that choose a path and commit to it.
Right.
And we don't always know what the outcome's going to be, but if we're wishy-washy and if we're thinking, oh, well, that's what my soul wants, but oh, this is what my mind wants, so maybe I should do kind of the happy medium in between the two, it's probably going to flop.
Yeah, it's in the commitment that the work happens, right? It's in the commitment that we are able to move through the pieces, like especially those moments where you're like, oh, why am I doing this? Or, why did I ever start this? Or I should just go back and get a job. That would be safer and easier, right? And it's like, that's the work. That is the work.
Well,
So,
it's funny you say that because I have written on my window, and my 3.5-year-old son pointed it out, Mommy, why are you writing on the window? But I wrote on the window right in the living room, personal branding is personal development.
yeah, yeah.
And if we haven't figured that out yet in the entrepreneurial space, that's like the groundwork 101.
Hmm.
Because everything we do as entrepreneurs is going to push us beyond our comfort zone. And yeah, sometimes you're going to get those little niggles of, oh, do I have to do this? And it's because it's not aligned anymore and maybe you need to pivot. But a lot of the times you're going to get that because there's part of you that's sabotaging and part of you that's like, oh, I'm not ready for this next level. So, oh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do it because it's boring. But really, it's because part of you is like, oh, if we do this, we might grow and get bigger. And that's terrifying. So let's just, right? Like the universe is
Yeah.
always conspiring for us. And we need to recognize where we are the ones holding ourselves back versus, you know,
Yes.
the opposite.
Yes. And this is truthfully, like those of you who are listening, oh, my little Ella's here. She might bark. There might be an Amazon package coming. But truthfully, like this is the new economy. This, what we're talking about, like gone are the days. And even myself, like I used to only teach business strategy. I was like, if you want mindset work, go find a mindset coach for sure. That is not what I coach on, right? That definitely was me. And now it's like you cannot combine strategy or you cannot teach strategy or have strategy without this other work, without like this is the main work, this mindset and breath and what's happening in our bodies and our intuitions and the universe. Like this is the economy now. And people are wise. There's no fooling anyone with inauthentic things that, working in just strategy. Yeah, just implement this and you'll make, your 100K a month kind of thing. Like that doesn't fly. Right.
No,
And so,
and especially because there's so much of that still out there.
mhm,
Follow this framework and you too will make 100K this year. And if you don't, it's your fault. It's your mindset. You're not trying hard enough, right?
exactly.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
And, and I just bring it all back to with so many of my clients, like, what if the strongest thing that you could do for your business and brand wasn't to reinvent yourself, wasn't to have to do all of this stuff, but what if it was just to remember who you are? And
Uh,
that's what I'm in the business of helping people do. And that's what I've been in the business of helping people do for 15 years in the wellness space. It's all come back to that true
yes.
authenticity, this true part of you, the essence that lives no matter what you're doing. And what if that's all you need to do? And breathwork is such a powerful tool for that. And that's why I love it so much.
I love that. And, if you're listening, like just honestly, start following Meg. You'll find her links in the show notes here. But this is a woman that truly lives by her truth. Like I have to say, Meg, that's one of the first things that struck me about you was like, wow, I love how she shows up in who she is, in like unapologetically, just beautiful essence, so in tune with who you are. And so you are the perfect person to teach that, I think,
Mm.
because more women need to be like this.
Yes. Have the audacity to
Yes.
really be authentic.
Be you. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I love it.
Yeah.
Um, So good. Like so good. I could talk to you for hours,
Yay.
honestly. But I wanted to touch base on or touch on the 15-minute reset that you have available right now for people. So what, based on this conversation that we have, what would they be looking to receive in that 15-minute reset, Meg?
So it's called the Embodied Visibility Reset.
Mm,
And in this 15-minute audio practice, and it comes with a little PDF booklet as well, this is an opportunity for you to experience in real time the moment where you perhaps your nervous system wants to shut down, collapse, not show up authentically as you. And as
yeah.
entrepreneurs, we all experience this, even myself. Sometimes when I'm like, I got a hot take, I'm going to put it out there. And just before I hit send, sometimes I go, uh, you know,
Yeah.
and then I always hit send or I always
Yeah.
hit post because
Yes.
I'm like, I got to do it.
Yeah.
But this 15-minute audio is meant to guide you through that in a really accessible way with breathwork practice, a super accessible breathwork pattern and a guided journey, a guided visualization, if you will, to help you
Mm,
experience for yourself that moment when you do collapse, when you do have that moment of, I don't want to be visible or I'm scared to be seen. And then I start to guide you through that so that breathwork is just like, and it's like working out, it's muscle memory. So the more you allow yourself into these uncomfortable feelings, uncomfortable experiences in a safe and contained space, which is what I create whenever I do a breathwork session, the more we can apply it in the session, the more we can then apply it to so that when you are moving through your day to day as a CEO or founder, a business owner, an entrepreneur, you can start to notice when your nervous system does that and you can start to train your body to say, hey, I'm safe. It's okay. I can be seen. I can post this. I can put myself out there. And because our body and our mind, our brain all day long is just trying to keep us alive. And it doesn't distinguish between the real stressors, like, it's the old saber-toothed tiger reference. We used to be chased by animals and we had a good reason to be stressed and afraid. Now we're just stressed and afraid by constant bombardment of text messages and emails and life in general. But our brain
mm,
doesn't know how to discern from that. So we need to teach it. We need to teach
mhm.
it that the stress of being on the internet, on social media is not going to kill us, even though our body thinks it's going to, right? So this 15-minute practice is like a stepping stone towards that.
Oh, I love that. I feel like I'm gonna listen to it right when we get off this call. Like, I love that, and I so big time love what you do, love what you offer. This work is so key, so important. I myself have been on quite a journey with regards to all of this lately, and I cannot stress enough how important this is. So for those who are listening, before you start to think, I need a new font or I need a new color or I need someone to redo. I mean, yeah, do all of those things and get your website redone. But go to Meg
I was going
and
to say, yeah, and hire me to do that.
yeah, because Meg does that. But tap into this with Meg first, because then all the truth comes out, all of the authenticity comes out, everything that is going to magnetize people to you, your ideal clients, opportunities, collaborations, all of that is going to flow your way because you've done this work. So, yes, thank you, Meg, so much for being here
Yes.
on our podcast today.
You're so welcome. And I want to add one thing to that, which I think is
Yeah.
important. And it's not great for my web design branding business, but it's important to say. Is oftentimes when we think, oh, I think I need to rebrand, I need a new color, I need a new font, it's just another procrastination, sabotage action, right?
Yeah.
Instead
Yeah.
of just putting it out there, we're like, oh, it's not quite perfect yet. So I need to adjust and tweak and adjust and tweak. And then you're adjusting and tweaking until the cows come home. Forget
Hmm.
about it unless you really think you need it. And I can help guide you.
Yeah. Yeah.
and just do the damn thing, put it out there. It doesn't need to be perfect. I know people that do so well without even a website. They're using a Google document still to this day to sell and to build their business. I think the brand is important more than ever to have a digital card on the
Mm.
internet for people to go and find your credibility and all of that. Super important. And we need to start to do the work to understand when we are doing it from fear versus an actual needed evolvement of our business and
Evolve.
brand. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I was going to say, like with this work, you'll know the minute that you have become a completely different version of yourself, an elevated version of you, you will know when a rebrand is in order because the brand that you have is just basically sharing the old version of you and you're like you've outgrown it, right? So it's not, you're right, like it's not about like, oh no, I'm not sure I like what's out there. It's more about this doesn't represent me anymore. I am so much more powerful and elevated than the woman who was in that brand. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Oh,
Yeah.
Meg, I adore you. Thank you so much for what you bring to Happy Healthy Women, all of your leadership as a trailblazer. We have a great event coming up too, which I'm very excited to have you speak at the Verity Club. So all amazing things happening for us. And we will, for those of you listening or watching, you can find Meg's links in our show notes and the link to that reset as well. So thank you,
Yes.
friend, for being here. I appreciate you.
Thank you. My absolute pleasure. So fun always talking with you, Natalie.
Likewise. Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.